So I have to say, I really do appreciate that The Guardian has just come out and said that they are attacking men, and that they want men to lose out. And I find it specifically telling that it's a lady called Gaby Hinsliff who is writing this article. It's very easy to say that, hey, you know what? Women just deserve some stuff that you have, and as a woman, this doesn't threaten me at all, so let me tell you about what I'm going to unjustly take from you just because I don't like the way things are. Go on, Gaby, do tell us how men should be penalised just because they're men. So Gaby begins her article by telling us about the powerful women who are politicians and how they're victims, and then Gaby carries on by telling us about the powerful female multi-millionaire celebrities and how they're victims too. And then she tells us about powerful men who have done things wrong, and how they are the victimizers. And that means, my dear working class, blue collar friends, you need to lose out. You need to sacrifice for the sake of powerful and rich women. Then she goes on to belittle men who have been wounded in battle and the trauma of them having to deal with that in the way that they want to deal with it, not the way that she wants them to deal with it. She says, like all fairy tales, these fabled threats to masculinity do contain a kernel of truth. They have resonance for a reason. They speak to a broader fear that men will have to make sacrifices, changing their behaviour or taking a financial hit for women to achieve equality. And there we have it. Someone on the feminist side has finally been honest enough to say, yes, we want what you have. We're not going to earn our own. We're not going to build our own structures. We're not going to earn our own money. We just want to take what's yours. And the unpalatable truth is that some men will. Well, I'll stop you there, Gaby. Now I'm against equality. You've just put me flat against it. I don't want equality. No matter what it entails, no matter how you describe it, I am against equality. Full stop. Well done. You finally completely red-pilled me. You know what I want? You know what my highest value is? Sandwich making. Now, I want you to make sandwiches. I want all women to make sandwiches. And I'm afraid that it's just going to have to make sacrifices. You're just going to have to change your behaviour. You may indeed have to sacrifice some of your time making me a fucking sandwich. And I guess the unpalatable truth is that some women will. They'll just have to deal with it, Gaby. It just so happens that we're turning back the clock. We're going back to the patriarchy. We're sending all of these rights that the patriarchy granted you, and we've decided, no, you've gone too far. When you wanted your own things, you wanted to build your own structures or compete with the men, okay, that was fine. But now you don't want to just compete, you want to dominate. I'm afraid it's now down to a gender war, Gaby. And don't say that we started this, because we really didn't. But hey, if that's what you want, it's on, Gaby. It's just on. And before any feminists decide that, my god, this is it, the final proof, I'm fucking joking, you muppets. But that's how this sounds. Do you understand? This is an attack on the male gender. You don't like the idea of men attacking the female gender, so maybe, just maybe, you might want to reciprocate some of that consideration. Just a thought. It's simply not possible to ditch a system that rewarded men unfairly at women's expense without there being disagreeable consequences for at least some men. We don't have that system. We do not have a system that unfairly rewards men at women's expense, but you are proposing a system that unfairly rewards women at men's expense. I'm really struggling to see why any man should ever sign up to this, unless of course they are completely spineless. The ones who would have thrived a generation ago when there was no real competition but are rightly worried now. You are trying to end competition by simply taking what they have. Instead of actually doing what men are doing to compete with them, you've decided, you know what, fuck it. We can actually apply just so much social pressure to men that they'll just accept their servitude. They will accept the status of a second-class citizen. That's how unbelievably bitch-whipped men are at the moment. But just as advocates of social mobility shy away from explaining that it may not work out as happily for the dim but rich, that huge demographic of people that are really clogging up society, women don't like to think there'll be casualties from equality. So there are going to be casualties from equality, and they've just been lying to themselves and everyone else from the word go. Is that what you're saying, Gaby? Because it fucking sounds like that's what you're saying. And I tell you what, it's bold of you to finally put this in print. You've really decided that now is the time, isn't it? We don't want that to be the case. Partly out of guilt, which you should rightly fucking feel at this point, and by the time I'm done, shame too, but concern for the men we love, but also fear of the backlash. Yeah, I can't imagine why there would be a backlash. By the way, we're just going to start taking what you've rightfully earned. Yeah, I know. Why? Because you're a man and I'm a woman. That's why. Get fucked. Wow, I can't believe there's a backlash. I can't believe how many people are just misogynists and hate women. One of the most powerful arguments that made against equal pay half a century ago is that paid work for women was that men would lose out. That's not a powerful argument, it's a terrible argument because they wouldn't. And now that you've had it, and you've had it for about 50 years, it's now time that men must lose out. It didn't turn out that men would lose out, and apparently that wasn't good enough. Society has been ingenious, meanwhile, in finding ways to create more space at the top without forcing men down the ladder. University places expanded as girls sought more access, meaning the competition for boys didn't become too intense. Well, I don't know whether you're aware, but women are now the majority of university students, so that's the end of affirmative action. In fact, we're going to need affirmative action for men at this point. I'm sure you understand because these were your principles. The status of attending cabinet, but not actually being in it, is a glorified job creation scheme for women, ensuring more female faces at the table without pushing men out. But in organisations with finite budgets, such as the BBC, and this is where it gets good, cutting men's pay could be the only realistic way to close some of the ridiculously large gaps that have been allowed to open up. Gaby, I say that we cut your pay for a man who's being paid less than you. If there is a man lower down on the ladder in your place of employment, I think your pay should be cut to match his pay. Why don't you like that, Gaby? We want equality, don't we? We want everyone to be the same, don't we? If that's the case, you're going to have to start making some sacrifices. And if you're not happy with that, ask yourself why you demanded someone else made sacrifices that you couldn't possibly make on the virtue that you're a woman and that person's a man. Why is it John Humphrys paid so much more, not only than other Today presenters, than by most of the great and good he interviews? Because of who he is. Because it's his career. Because he achieved this. He earned it over a lifetime of work. That's why. Is that so hard to understand for some rando Guardian columnist? I suppose it probably is. Meanwhile, pruning some decent but not exactly indispensable types, careful Gaby, you might be describing yourself a bit there, is the only way to bring new people into the middle ranks of government without expanding the payroll. Mediocre men who could have once expected to progress faster than good women in corporate life and lose out, they will resent it. Says fucking who? Who the fuck are you? Who do you think you're talking about, Gaby? Because it seems like you're advocating for just mediocre women. And I personally am an advocate against mediocrity. I'm just saying that, Gaby, you may find yourself with a problem in a meritocratic system. The best you might be able to do is The Guardian. The recently downgraded to a tabloid Guardian, because it's fucking failing. And sometimes it may not actually be fair, because there's no such thing as a perfect meritocracy. Well, not if you have anything to do with it. There will be no meritocracy at all, and certainly nothing that could be approaching anything described as fair, because your system, your proposed system, would be built on unfairness. You don't seem to understand that the current system is not. It is not predicated on the notion that there must be unfairness in the system to achieve this kind of perfect equality that you're trying to reach. You can get what you can earn, and if you can't earn more, you don't deserve to get more. That's how it works, full fucking stop. I love this, and I'm sure you didn't mean this ironically. Employers will make mistakes. They'll give legs up to people who don't deserve it, as they always have. But it's okay if it's people like you getting those legs up, isn't it? Doesn't matter if it's people like me getting pushed down unfairly, as you've already described, because it's not going to be you by definition. You know, you're going to just see men claiming they're women just all over the place. Men are just like, you know what, I'm actually a woman. Yeah, I'm not a man, I'm a woman. I identify. I know that I've got manly clothes, I have a beard, I work out, you know, I know all of these things are true, but I identify as a woman. And you can't tell me I don't, because that would be transphobic. And you even go as far to say, disadvantaged or undereducated men, which is now the majority, just so you know, risk losing out through no fault of their own because they've had the bad luck to be born in an era where being male isn't a saving grace. You mean being male is condemnation by your own design, Gaby. You are trying to make being male a disadvantage because you happen to be a female and also a bigot. As with technological advances that destroy traditional jobs, just so you know, they're jobs that mostly men are doing, and the technological advances brought about by men that you plan on taking advantage of, which is lucky for you that men give a fuck about women, because if they didn't, you'd be making so many fucking sandwiches. Just don't forget that. But this doesn't mean everyone will benefit, or that individuals who lose out will transfer seamlessly into what's next. Well, I suppose if the entire country is going to be rigged against men, how could they? But this is the best bit. It's hard to be honest about this when the other side is being rampantly dishonest. That's amazing, given how you started this by saying feminist activists were actively lying about their intentions for fear of backlash, and you're accusing the other side of being dishonest. Have you looked in a fucking mirror, you liar? Or at least not you, sorry. The rest of the feminists are liars. You're the one honest one who just says, you know what, I just hate men and I just want to take their stuff. So you are at least the one honest feminist. Well done. But you think their dishonesty is them pretending every time a man loses out that it's a conspiracy against all men. It's not a conspiracy. A conspiracy is, by definition, a secret. You are doing this in the brazen light of day. This is just an all-out attack, a coordinated attack against men as a gender, and you are openly admitting it. This isn't a conspiracy, this is just your plan. And apparently that's absolutely not a reason to retreat from the pursuit of equality. Holy shit, Gaby. I'm totally against what you believe to be equality. What you believe to be equality is tyranny. It's no different to every communist regime that has ever existed. But it's the truth, and it has consequences for which we're not preparing boys nearly well enough. Hiding from it won't make it go away. I'm just shocked that you are admitting that openly that you would be a dictator, that you would tyrannize men just for your own benefit, for your own ideological need to achieve equality that you never define, but I assume just means more women than men. Women having the upper hand in every location, in every sphere of life, in every job, in every workplace, in every university, in everything. Because that, to a feminist, is equality. Oh, and would you look at that? There are no comments open on this article.